reminder to keep.
Okay, so now make sure you can do it too, Mike.
It's already recording, so I
So
cannot.
we can't, so we can only do one, huh?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna stop it and then I'll
Okay.
let you do that.
It's going to record on the cloud. So here we go. Okay, today is Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. And thank you everybody for showing up today. We're going to talk about borders and mats and stuff like that. And before we get started, I do need to thank Sherry Hammond because I'm using one of her techniques and I love it. And so I have to give her a shout out. Dennis, make sure you tell her thank you. And I've got it down to where I don't need her notes anymore. I've done it so many times practicing. So that's really cool. If you need notes on how to do it, she has a PDF and it'll walk you through. You just got to be nice to her and ask nicely. Or never mind, I'm not going to say that.
You can talk to me. I'll put her email in the chat so you can, if anybody wants to get, you can talk to her.
Yeah. And she's good about sharing it and sharing information. So she's not one of those speakers that will hold back information. I've seen some of those people that will. Dennis is not one. I'm not one. Sherry's not one. Share your information. Just makes you work a little harder. That's okay.
You can buy my DVDs later. I'll just kidding.
And this is my show. You have to buy my DVDs. Although they're all blank, you just have to buy a blank CD. So anyway, I am going to share my screen and we're going to get started. So let's go. I'm going to share desktop, make this really small, get that out of the way. Oh, look what's up first. Can everybody see my screen right now?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, 2022 West Coast School, June 5th to 12th. I will be teaching a Photoshop 0 to 60 class. Some of you people don't need it. Some of you people definitely do need it. And for those that don't need it, tell your friends. I need to fill up my class so I can go out and have some fun that week. So, okay, moving right along. Let's get into this picture here. This is a picture of Mike Trout almost making a catch. Of course, the ball was probably another 10 feet higher during the actual shot, but I had to bring it down to where it looked catchable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a different kind of a border. I'm going to bring in a frame on top of it. So let's do this. And we'll bring Mike on top of that. So I'll hit the V for move tool, V for move. Drag him over on top, click, don't let go of the mouse, and then drag it down on top of that. And I'm going to drag the frame down below. And if I do it right,
Nice.
got to be on the right picture to make it work. Command T for this one, which is free transform. And you'll notice that my corners of my transform tool are out of the picture. You can't see the transform tools. To make that happen, all you have to do is hit Command 0, which is bring it to full screen. And you can see your transform tools now. I'm going to hold the Option or Alt key, which allows me to drag it in towards the center. And that is a simple way to do that. And how I made him inside the picture was created a clipping mask, which I forgot to say when I did it. You go between the layer 1, which is Trout, and the frame, which is down below. Click right between the two with the Option or Alt key, and it creates a clipping mask, which clips it to that layer below. To undo it, you just do the same thing in reverse, or you can go to the drop-down menu in the layers panel and create a clipping mask, which is right there, or you can use the keyboard shortcut. For me, I just use the Option or Alt key to click between the two and clip it in. So that's a very fast way to make a quick mat. And what I had is just a painted background like that. And the black is on its own layer. So if I wanted to make the color fill a different color, I can make it red. And you got Mike Trout in there. Or I can make it black. Or I can make it go back to where it was before with white. So there you go. That's a nice art piece. That'll be $700 for an image where he caught the ball. Well, he almost caught the ball. That was a home run ball off of Mike Moustakas of the Kansas City Royals back then. Now he's with Cincinnati Reds, I believe. Let's close that one out. Don't save.
So where'd you get the mat to do that with? Or is that something you designed or something you purchased?
I think I got it with one of the software companies at a convention. I can't remember which one. I got it like 10 or 15 years ago. But you can make that up. I mean, we'll just do Command New, and we'll do 8x10, and let's do a mat in between here, or a selection. We're going to fill it with black. So fill it with black, deselect it, and take a brush. Let's get that's a mixer brush. I don't want that. I'll just pick one out of do that one. And we'll just kind of munch up the edge a little bit. So you can make your own really quick. And just make them out like that. The company, I can't remember the name of the company I got it from because that was passed yesterday. Graphic Authority, I think, was selling them along with all their other products. And so I just kind of use that, and you can modify it. They have film, so it looks like it's on a frame of a film or something like that. So you can do that as well. Don't save. And let's go to shot in the park last night. I needed a fresh image. Dennis saying I'm using too many of my Africa pictures, so I had to bring in a fresh picture for him. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mat around here, and I can't decide if I want to make it a art presentation, make it white, or make another color. I don't know. Let's make it a little bit smaller so we can see it, and we'll go and make a copy of this layer. So to make a copy of the layer, Command or Control J, and you can see it made a copy there. We'll go to Image, Canvas Size, and I'm going to add probably 6 inches all the way around. So 6 inches on the width, 6 inches on the top, and we'll make it white to start with. We can always change it. And we now have an art mat to go with it. I want to make it look kind of like Sherry does. So I'm going to hit M for marquee. And that should be about almost right. And you know when you got it centered, if you slide it around a little bit, you see that I have 2 cyan lines or magenta lines pop up right there. That says it's centered on the top and bottom and centered right to left. So if I move it down, the bottom line or the crosshair across the horizon goes away. So that's centered. I'm going to hit Command Shift I to invert my selection. So right now that inside of here is what's selected. I want to Command Shift I. Now you see I have marching ants on the outside and on the inside here. So that's what's selected. And I want to make a copy of that selection. The fastest way to do that, Command J. And you cannot make a layer or a copy of a layer because the selection is empty. Well, the reason the selection is empty is because I'm on layer 1 and not the background layer. So when you make a mistake, look and see why you made a mistake. And normally it's your fault, which is my fault on this one. Command J, and it just made a copy. So now I have that selected. And what you can do is double click on layer 2, which is the background you just made, bevel and emboss. And I have my setting at inner bevel smooth. In fact, let's bring it up in the middle so you can see that. In fact, what you can do is take a screenshot of that if you like, and it tells you what your settings are. Depth is 275%, size 18 pixels, soften 2 pixels. Global light, so when I do something else, the global light is going to allow it to keep the same lighting, whatever you do within the layer styles. Angle 30%, attitude 30%, highlight mode screen opacity 9%, shadow mode multiply, which is what shadows do, they multiply, and at 25%. And then I'm also going to add a drop shadow. So you can see when I added the drop shadow, it added all the way around. So I'm going to click OK. And now I have drop shadow and bevel and emboss. I'm going to go to layer 1, which is the photo layer. Double click on that layer, or what you can do is go to effects down at the bottom down here. The bottom of your layer panel, it says FX or effects. Click on that, and I'm going to go to outer glow. I'm going to put just a little bit of a shadow all the way around my photo there, which makes it look like it's floating a little bit. And with outer glow, I'll bring up this, you can take a screenshot of that as well. Blend mode normal, opacity 26%, noise 15%. The noise pretty much stays the same, opacity stays the same. When you get down to the elements down here, you will notice that you may have to change it here and there. Because if I go up to spread of 52%, it makes it look like a stroke versus a little softening. So I keep it at about 7%, size at about 50%. Sometimes you have to adjust that as well. Size can spread a whole lot.
Michael, can I get a screenshot of the drop shadow? The settings?
Yeah, let me get back to that in a sec.
Okay.
And range 50%, jitter, no jitter. So let's go ahead and click OK. And we'll go back to the effects on here. And you want a drop shadow?
Yes, please.
Okay, there you go.
That looks nice. Yeah, I like the shot, the drop shadow. Looks good. Is it?
Bevel and emboss pop up too?
I
Oh.
will show bevel and emboss again if you like as well.
Yes, please. I missed the first one. I got
That's
the-
okay. Has everybody got the drop shadow? Anybody that needs it up there a little longer? You can thank Sherry for these because this is her recipe. Here's the bevel and emboss.
Thank you.
Just remember that when you do your drop shadows and your lighting, your rate, that you drop them in the same way the light is coming from your photo, so it doesn't cause distraction. So if you bring it, you can do in your circle on your bevel and emboss and your drop shadows, but you can change those angles, and so it does. So it doesn't. Yeah, Mike's just doing it there. So when you change that, the angle comes in on the drop shadow from the same direction as the lighting on your image, if there's any indication of light, so it doesn't conflict with the photo.
Thank you, Dennis. You're much smarter than me.
I'm not saying I'm smarter, I just.
No, you are, trust me. But I forgot all about that.
Okay,
And that's how you do a white matte. So I'm going to go back to open on this again. And I'm going to do the white matte again, except I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to go to canvas size, and we did 6 inches that time. So
Mhm.
do 6, I'm going to keep it at white. I'm going to add a stroke around this time. And what I'm going to do is, whoops, let's go ahead and make a copy of this again. Copy, and then we'll go image, canvas size, 6 and 6, enter. And I'm going to make a copy of layer 1 again. So Command J, which is layer 1 copy. And if I put a stroke on here, double click and we'll make a stroke. And I'm going to keep it this medium to dark gray.
Hey, Mike,
Yes,
how do you do a screenshot? I'm over here fighting with mine.
give me 1 second and I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, I'm going to do 6 on my pixel size for this stroke. And you can see there is a stroke there, but it doesn't really show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take layer 2, which has our layer 1 copy that has the stroke, and I'm going to change the fill up here on the right hand side. I'm going to change the fill to 0, which does absolutely nothing so far, except when I turn off layer 2, the only thing left is the stroke.
Hmm.
If you, instead of doing the fill at 0, if you decided to do opacity at 0 and you turn it off, the stroke disappears as well. So what you're doing is you're leaving the effects there if you get rid of the fill. And your effects will stay, but the image itself will disappear. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go Command T, which is free transform, to make this bigger. I'm going to go my top bar up here. I'm going to make the width 102 and the height I need to change. I made it 103. Okay, that'll work. The height I'll probably need to make 104. Nope, that was the width again. Hang on, let me fix it. Come on, guys. And at 104, it's still not big enough. So let's try 105. And you can see that it makes it look like it's a little bit more balanced that way. And is the stroke big enough, or do we want more stroke? Well, I want a different color stroke. Let's make it this blue. Click OK. And you can change the stroke that way. Okay, Anthony, you're on a Mac, correct?
No, PC, I get my Mac in a few weeks.
Okay, I believe it's print shift screen or something like that. I haven't done a PC for a long time, so,
Okay, let me try it.
or shift print screen, one of those, something like that. I don't know if there's any PC users out there anymore. If you could help them with that one, I don't know the answer.
It's Windows print screen.
Windows print screen. Thank you, Ira.
Sure.
Ah, great, thank you.
So you can change the color of your stroke anytime you want. Just double click on stroke. And let's make it red just so it stands out really nicely. There we go. And I want to make a much bigger stroke, because for print competition, you got to have a bigger stroke, right?
No,
There you go. There's your stroke for print comp. And if anybody can't tell that I'm being facetious, and
well, before you go off that, Michael, real fast, just point out to people, because you know your top line and your sides are different sizes on your stroke, and you know it's very minimal, but it's little things like that that judges see and catch. Now you just did this as a demonstration, but for if you're doing competition, see those are just a hair off the size. Yep. So you want to make sure those are congruent in sizes.
so what you can do is on that layer again, go back Command T, and we'll do height at 101. And that gets it closer. That's fairly close. But you do want to make them as even as possible. Because if you don't, you're in a heap of trouble with the judges.
Well, they won't take it completely out as they look at the photo, but you know, anytime you start
Yeah.
giving them something to think about, then they start wondering about stuff.
And the longer they have to look at it, the worse it gets, even on the best of images. Okay, so let's kill that picture. Apply transformation. Nope, don't apply. Don't save. And we will go to this one and we'll do the same thing again. This one's already 2 layers, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to make a image canvas size 6 and 6. What color do you guys want this canvas behind to be? You get to pick the color out there.
Purple. Purple.
Purple?
Purple.
Purple.
Okay. Purple it is.
Please, for the love of goodness, do not do that
Okay.
in competition.
Judges
Maybe
will
not
love that.
purple.
Do that one.
Maybe not purple.
Okay.
But honest to God, I have seen images in comp that they've done just that.
Yeah. Well, the purple matches the flowers.
Yeah,
Challenge.
it's so pretty.
I do white.
So does pink.
What was the other one?
White.
I heard white.
Pink.
What about like the deepest blue in the sky?
Oh, that's boring. Judges won't like that at all.
Okay. What I've done is I went to my color picker, opened up my color picker, and I picked a blue up there, which is almost black, but not quite, and clicked OK. No big deal. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the background layer and I'm going to fill the background layer with that color. So it's going to be the left side of the color. So my Option or Alt key is on the left side of my keyboard, the left side of Command. So I'll hit Option or Alt, Delete or Backspace. And that gets you that blue color.
Boring.
You can use the color Roger's hair, so like that, like a grayish white.
You want a gray on there?
A light gray.
Is that too light? Good.
No.
That's what we're going to do. And we'll do the Sherry method. You notice how I changed it on the background and it didn't affect the layer. I just filled the background, which is no big deal. If I wanted to just change that outside area, what I do is go to my magic wand tool, which is W, 3x3 average. I'm going to bring the tolerance down to 1, which means it's only going to pick that one little area or that one color. And it picked the whole thing. Oh, I see why. Let's do the purple instead. There we go. It picked the purple. And now I can fill just that area, Option, Backspace, or Option, Delete, with the gray. So we made it easy. And
Now the marching ants will stay that way until you,
till I hit Command D or deselect.
okay.
Command D is deselect, or you can go up to select down to deselect.
Okay.
And when you do that, the slow way, you'll see there is a keyboard shortcut there that says Command D.
Right.
So I'll deselect, and I'll bring up M for marquee, and we'll do the same thing again, make our marching ants around here. And I'll move it to where it's, okay, we're centered up or side to side. and it doesn't want to center top to bottom. So I'll just eyeball it, call it good. So I have my marching ant set up around here, my selection, Command Shift I, which is invert selection. You can also go to select inverse, which has Command Shift I. And we're going to make a copy of that. So Command J. And it looks like you don't have much of a selection, but you do. And we're going to add our layer style. So bevel and emboss. And it's going to take the same thing I did last time. And the lighting's pretty much dead center because it's in the middle with the missile. Hit the drop shadow. Boom. Go up to this one. And we may not need an outer glow, but we'll put it on there anyway. Same settings as last time because we didn't change it. And that's how fast that'll go. But wait, there's more. So what I'm going to do is click on, well, I'll just click on my layer 2, which is the upper layer. I'm going to go to bridge, bring in a matte. So we'll bring it over here. I'm going to hold the shift key, which will center it when it comes in. Yes, I know it's a different depth. Yes, I know it's a different color. And it's really small. So Command T, let's make it go all the way to the top up here. And you notice I'm not holding the shift key right now, and it's stretching unproportionally. The reason is because my lock between the height and the width is not locked. If I lock it, it will now, anything I do will make it go proportionally. Hit OK. And I want to turn that back on again. And that's a funky looking mat. So let's go ahead and change layer 3, which is the color mat. Go to overlay, soft light, hard light. I like soft light, but it's still got a bit of a color to it. So let's go ahead and go to hue and saturation adjustment layer, and saturation all the way down to 0, which brings back my gray. And if I had that above, it would change everything to black and white. So I'm just going to put it below the picture. If I needed to have it just on those 2 layers, I would hit the Option or Alt key between the 2 layers, make a clipping mask again, which would clip it in there. So it adds a little bit of a texture, maybe a little bit too much texture. So I'm going to change the opacity to say 60%. Hang on, let me do that on the right layer. Opacity is 60%, 40%. 40% leaves a little bit of a trace of it, but not a whole lot, just a little bit of texture there. And the fastest way to change your opacity is if you're not in a brush mode or any of the tools that use brushes, like such as Move Tool. Hit V for Move Tool and then hit 6 for 60%, 0 for 100%, 1 for 10%. And if you hit it fast, 45, it's at 45%. That way you don't have to keep going up here and clicking and trying to figure out, okay, if I slide it this way, no, I'll slide it this way. Just use your keyboard shortcuts to get in there. Saves a lot of time. Questions? No questions.
They are just overwhelmed, Michael.
I guess so. I overwhelmed everybody.
I have a quick question.
I have a quick answer.
So when you went in and you made that clipping mask, I didn't see what it did differently. I must have blinked.
In this particular case, it really didn't do a whole lot. It just made sure that this was,
We can't see your screen.
well, that's because I'm not sharing. That would help, wouldn't it? Now you can see it.
Yes.
Now you see it. Now you don't. Okay. If there were some other things that were below this that I wanted to keep in there, let's say, let's bring this down to here. Okay. If I turn off the clipping mask, you can see that everything turns to black and white.
Right.
If I do the clipping mask, it only changes this particular layer that's underneath it. So the clipping mask will tag that layer and say, tag, you're it, you're staying with me. The rest of them, it has no effect on them. So clipping masks are wonderful things when you learn how to use them. They're super helpful. Okay, other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, tell you what,